Wayne Doorband here for the bi-weekly NTP C.E.E.D webinar huddle that we hold here at our Northern Colorado headquarters in Loveland, Colorado, both live here at our site and also going out over the web to those of you that are watching. Enjoy what we have for you today.
We're on.
Oh, we're on. Hi, everyone. My name is Janine, and I'm covering for Wayne today, and we're here in our Berthoud, Colorado office. And we have Ben Pfeffer in, and he's going to be our new market farm partner.
Hi, everybody.
So, Ben, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and your experience?
Okay. So, I met Wayne and Janine and Deb and the wonderful staff at Mountain Sky recently. And last year I was in Denver with Denver Urban Gardens, and before that I was with Hope Farms in Fort Collins. And this year I will be starting Raisin Roots Farm at Mountain Sky Ranch. And we're very excited to be partnering together, and it's going to be a local scale veggies 4-acre plot, and we'll sell vegetables up and down the Front Range, Colorado.
All right, awesome. So we're very excited to have you. Let's see. Well, where did you grow up? And what led you to farming?
Sure. I'm from Maryland. I went to college in Baltimore, Maryland. My family and close friends all live in that area. I was recently home to see everybody. They're doing great. And what led me to farming was my coursework for my anthropology degree at Towson University. I was doing research on identity of spaces and how people create a sense of home where they live. And basically, my research led me to, in Baltimore City's hyper-urban setting, these vacant plots that neighborhoods were taking over and farming on to reclaim as their own. And Baltimore has many very under reinvested in parts of the city. The tax money is just not spread around equally. It's fascinating stuff. But these neighborhoods are basically creating places that were important for their identities through urban farming and these land reclamation projects going on all over. So I shifted from academic anthropology into farming through that, and it was basically a political community act at the start.
Very interesting. Let's see. Let's learn a little bit about more about you. When you were 15, beautiful sunny Saturday, what would you be doing?
Playing soccer, without a doubt. I was an avid soccer player all through my youth and partly in college. Any given Saturday or any other day of the week, probably outside of November to February, I was playing soccer from age, I don't know, 8 to 19.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a bit of an obsession at times, I'd say.
Do you still hit the field sometimes?
Sometimes. I referee now. Yeah, my body has taken enough of that abuse over the years, so now I referee, and I still am very much part of the game, but not so much beating myself up.
Okay, I don't know a whole lot about sports, but what was your position, I guess?
I played goalkeeper.
Okay.
Yeah, I played goalkeeper for.
That's the right terminology.
It is
soccer.
the right
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Good.
A little bit of midfield.
Okay. Okay. Great. So, the farm with the ranch is really a partnership for sustainability, and so could you tell us a little bit about what that word means to you? What sustainability means
to me? Sustainability, well, it's this catchphrase. Everybody's on sustainability these days, right? But it's super important. It really is. And for me, it's about the land and what we're doing with the land technically, but it's also about our business model and how we further our business interests. So at Raisin Roots Farm at Mountain Sky Ranch, what we'll be doing is stewarding the land basically and improving the soil health every year and reinvesting in an ethical way in that soil, putting in the highest quality inputs, using the alpaca breeding program that's alongside of us at Mountain Sky to use a lot of alpaca manure for amendments, one of the highest quality amendments out there. The alpacas are fed high-quality feed, so that's going to be in our soil. It's kind of a full-circle approach to sustainability. On the business model side of that, the CSA has blown up recently. It's a catchphrase. It's an acronym.
Yeah.
It stands for Community Supported Agriculture. And that is a sustainable business model because you involve people who are local to your area, so you're not distributing out of state. We'll be distributing just along the Front Range, Denver to Fort Collins. That's our range for this year. And the CSA, Community Supported Agriculture model, basically connects consumers with the farmer in a direct partnership. There's no middleman, there's no storefront, and we are able to have a face-to-face interaction every week. They buy a fraction of our harvest from May to October. That's when we'll be harvesting, and every week our CSA members will get a box of whatever we have fresh that week. So they tie their fortunes in with the farm, and if we have a wonderful year, they get you know, a huge return on their investment basically, and every week maybe getting way more than what their dollars amount would equal going and buying fresh from anybody. If we have a terrible season, then they'll get a little bit less. But here's to hoping we have an excellent season and everybody gets a full box every week.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you're doing something else a little more unique, but along the same model with the restaurants shared agriculture?
Yes. So another acronym is an RSA, which will be Restaurant Supported Agriculture. Yeah, Restaurant Supported Agriculture. And we believe this is an innovative model. There's been a couple trials of this in other parts of the country, but in Colorado, there hasn't been too much on a share level with restaurants. It's usually weekly direct sales. What we're trying to implement and introduce restaurants to along the Front Range is similar to a CSA, a share, where they invest in a guaranteed poundage throughout the season that would be delivered every week. And we're going to try to get about 2 or 3 restaurants on board this year. I don't want to overextend and promise more than we can reasonably deliver. So I'm talking with a couple restaurants right now. And similar to a CSA, there's share levels. There's small, medium, and large. The small being somewhere between 20 to 40 pounds of produce every week for a kitchen, maybe something they can throw on their specials list and be the weekend special, something, you know, a little different. The medium share would maybe carry more into other menu items and not just the special, and maybe into bar cocktail things with herbs and berries particularly. And then the large share would include root crops and other crops that you could use for pickling, canning, or storing. And the large share would be looking at roughly 70 to 100 pounds each week average throughout the season. And most restaurants that I'm aware of right now order somewhere between 600 to 900 pounds a week of produce from whether it's Shamrock or Cisco or other farms. So we'd be looking at cornering 10 to 15% of their kitchen produce needs every week.
Wonderful. Will chefs have a say? Will you include the chefs in what you're growing?
Chefs will have a say. That's what's special about the RSA. We will sit down with a product variety list of all of our crops. We have over 40 different crops, and within each crop there's up to 8 different varieties. So we have a ton to choose from.
And I think we have some cool pictures of that.
We do. We have some
varieties.
Excellent pictures of all kinds of things. Yeah. Basically, yeah, chefs will be able to request certain items up to a certain volume. Yeah. So if they are loving our Chioggia beets that week, we can say, hey, we want as many beets as you can possibly give us next week. So we want to do it in a salad, we want to do a special, we want to do a roast with the beets, whatever. And I can say, yeah, we can do 50 pounds out of your 100-pound share can be just beets. Sure.
Okay. Now, for the community-supported agriculture, do those members have an opportunity to choose what they have, or are they kind of getting luck of the draw? There
will be options there as far as would you rather have a bunch of kale or a bunch of carrots. But every week we will have whatever's in season, and that's kind of the beauty of the CSA share, that you are eating seasonally with the farm. You know, we're not going to be harvesting winter squash in July just because they're not ready yet. So come September, you might be able to choose from 10 different varieties of winter squash. But as nature allows, we're not going to have those things in the spring. And I think people understand that, and that appeals to certain folks who want to get more in touch with what's growing in Colorado at certain times of the year. We're not going to have tomatoes in February right now unless you have a great indoor operation, which is something on our horizon, but not quite yet. So your tomatoes are going to be in August, and I think people expect that, and that's okay. Yeah.
Awesome. And you know, I've had CSAs and shares in the past, and half the fun is learning how to cook new things.
Absolutely.
And learning what to do with a kohlrabi.
Yeah.
And I'd never seen a kohlrabi before. I'm like, what is this mutant thing?
There's some weird root crops usually.
So it's kind of a fun little surprise to get something in your share that's different.
If you're in doubt about how to cook it, a safe bet is bake it or put it in a cast iron with some butter until it gets soft.
Can't go wrong with butter, right?
Yeah, and then it's probably going to taste great.
Yeah, just add butter and salt, and it'll all be good.
And then you can experiment from there. Start with some butter.
Okay. And so you're gonna have a CSA, an RSA. Where else are you gonna be able to see your products and see your face?
We're hoping for 3 different farmers markets. We have our applications in, and we're waiting right now for Fort Collins, Golden, and then Berthoud. And that'll be awesome just to be able to meet new people every week, get our product out there, have conversations, answer questions. The markets are a special place where you can meet consumers and not have a middleman there representing your product, where I can be there talking with people about what they're holding and what they're looking at.
Right.
Yeah.
Although all those markets are on Saturday, so you'll get to see a few of us from here at the
So
ranch.
maybe you'll catch me 1 in 3 weeks
Yeah.
here in Fort Collins, or 1 in 3 weeks here in Golden.
Unless we figure out how to clone you.
Yeah.
Just make a bunch.
Or just send me everywhere.
Yeah.
So. But hopefully we'll have a market staff dedicated to each location, so at the very least you can have the same faces every week paired with that stand, and they'll be just as knowledgeable and trained as I am with those varieties and be able to answer those questions as well.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of local agriculture and local food, is you get to know your farmer.
Putting a face to whatever you're putting in your mouth.
Right. Let's see. So, how are you going to be growing these things? Can you share with us some of your methods and theories in actual cultivation? Yeah,
so I've been trained in several different methods, and I've kind of taken bits and pieces of certain things that I liked from each of those methods. I guess a little bit of background on that. I helped start the Towson University urban farm in Maryland, and then I've been farming in Colorado on the Front Range, and I've also farmed in Oregon in the Willamette Valley, which is very fertile. So each of those places takes a different approach with timing and pest control methods. In Colorado, we're somewhat lucky because we're at elevation, so pest control is not as big of a deal here as it would be in Maryland or Oregon. It just takes much longer and less likely for things to colonize in those levels. So one of the things I do is a no-spray program. We heavily companion plant. And for example, our brassicas, that'd be our broccoli and our kale and our cabbage, will be interplanted right next to onions and garlic. And when we get our garlic going, but onions to start. And basically the properties of the onions will ward off things that like to eat the sweet flesh of the broccoli and cabbage crops. And through companion planting, usually an acceptable loss for me would be about 15%. That's kind of what you go with in organic methods. We're not certified, so I'm not going to talk about organic methods. But in places where you're not using heavy pesticide applications, you're going to see some loss. It's just what happens. That's kind of the hit you take ethically for going that route. So about 15% loss is okay for us to still deliver every week. And
and that loss was actually not truly lost, because we're going to be partnering with a chicken producer.
Right.
So our any produce that's not quite up to par, we get to go off to our chickens.
Anything with an aphid on it can go to the chickens. Yeah.
All right, sorry.
Yeah, no, it's true. And then as far as the soil, I mentioned the alpaca manure, so that's very important that we use what's already existing on the land to enrich our soil every year. We're also using some of the dug up sediment from the spring-fed ponds, which is very rich in soil humus and loamy, excellent quality stuff. So we're going to mix that together. Basically not introducing any strange foreign inputs and using everything that we can from the landscape already, and just building every year on that. Yeah.
I feel like you're leading me right to my next question. So what's the long-term vision down the road? Next year, 5 years.
The long-term vision. So this year we're looking at getting about 4 or 5 acres under cultivation. And I think I mentioned earlier I don't want to overextend, so we're going to go with 2 or 3 RSA shares, about a 30-member CSA share limit, and then anything excess we can take to market. So that's where we're at this year. In the future, I would like to up to a larger CSA program, maybe add a couple more restaurants, see how that goes with this new model basically this year. Maybe expand the farm. There is an easement to the south of the property that Wayne, Deb, and I had talked briefly about possibly expanding into. So really, we're going to see how this year goes, and we could do a lot of exciting things with another couple acres under production. Talk to the chefs that we work with this year and see what they would like for next year, and possibly have even an entire acre just dedicated to special requests for restaurants and have that taken care of. And that would take heat off me for showing up to market and being a guessing game of who's going to like our carrots this week, who's going to like radish or kale, to have an entire field of kohlrabi or cabbage or celeriac roots spoken for before it's planted would be an excellent way to grow.
Very good point. Very good. Let's see. So Raisin Roots. Tell us about the name.
Raisin Roots has a couple different meanings for me. The first off is that Raisin is my dog, and no one, I think there's a picture over there, no one is going to know that who's just meeting me. Dogs aren't usually allowed in the market stand scene, no one's going to know really about raisin except the people who already know me or those who come out to the farm for our workshop days. She'll slowly become a celebrity, I'm sure. However, at this point, only my friends and family know who Raisin is. So the other meaning is that we are Raisin Roots. That's why there's an apostrophe after our trade name of Raisin Roots. Yeah. And I think that speaks to a lot of people right now because it seems that in this day and age, a lot of people are trying to put down roots. You hear that a lot. It's a term of speech that many people are just throwing around. We're trying to get rooted here in this place. And so are we as this farm. And I think that it's just culturally relevant and will speak to people as literally putting down roots, both vegetable-wise and culturally, you know, as a new place to call home.
Maybe we should go through some of the pictures of varieties, and you can explain some of the unique varieties of vegetables.
Yeah. Well, I mentioned we have up to 8 different varieties within every crop. So most of them are heirloom and organic where possible. We have a beautiful spread of heirloom varieties. In tomatoes alone, I think we have like 6 different heirlooms ranging from a Nebraska Wedding, which is a bright orange, all the way to a purple Cherokee, which is a darker, kind of dusky red with a smoky flavor. And then
smoky. Tomato is smoky.
Yeah, it's almost like a peppery flavor inside. Yeah. And then the San Marzano, I think your personal favorite.
I love those.
Famous sauce tomato.
Yep. Best for sauce, best for canning.
Best for canning.
So what makes it an heirloom? I think that's another one of those that's a jargon term.
Yeah, a lot of people throw around heirloom like it means something very specific. It's a little looser than that. An heirloom technically is a seed that has been saved by hand over generations. However, you have change in every viable generation you save seeds from. So an heirloom today is not anything close to an heirloom from 100 years ago.
Okay.
So you talk about heirloom seed, and they change, and that's kind of the beauty of them, that they've adapted along with the environment that they were grown in. They weren't grown in a lab, they weren't altered in any way, and you can trace them back, certainly, but you're not going to find seeds today that are the exact same seed as an heirloom of that same variety from 200 years ago. And that is what heirloom means. Basically, that it was saved from every generation and passed down to now. And you can save them a number of years in proper storage, and we can save our heirlooms for next year. But if we start saving seeds from our Nebraska Wedding tomatoes, and we're going to save the best ones from the best crops of those tomatoes, within 3 or 4 years, we would start developing a slightly different variety. And it would be different from where we got our current heirloom seed from, because we're going to save the best ones. That means in our little microclimate of that valley that we're in, we're going to have a specific Nebraska Wedding tomato that maybe outperforms the other 100 plants. We keep 20 plants that just did the best. And then next year we keep another 20. And next year, but you're going to have less and less of the original gene from where we got the seed source. So, and that's another form of seed saving. It's called landrace. And landrace farming is where you get a smattering of, let's take beans, like bush beans. You get 10 different varieties of bush beans, and you just plant them with like no regard to marker or labeling or specific variety. And at the end of the year, say like 3 of them just didn't do so hot, and some did okay, and another 3 did like really well. It's just a very productive year. You're going to save the seeds from those. And then you do that again next year. And basically within 5 years or so, you saved and now developed your own hyper-specific seed stock. And that's called landrace seed saving. And you can do that because everyone has their little microclimate. The valley we're in has some water, pine trees. We get good sun, not a ton, not too much sun. It's pretty ideal. But some plants will like it better. And in that way, we can self-select our own heirloom varieties.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
So you're going to be able to have your own specific to Raisin Roots Farm, specific to Mountain Sky Ranch.
We could create a Raisin Root tomato within 10 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see. What else here? Habaneros.
Habaneros.
I remember seeing that seed list. There's a lot of varieties of habaneros.
I like hot peppers.
A
lot of people do, some people don't. They don't sell well. It's actually a no. There's a great picture. That's a variety of Caribbean hot habaneros. The longer red ones are Caribbean. They're longer, not quite as stout and thick as the orange ones. But to grow that many habaneros, many farmers have told me don't do that. They just don't sell. People show up at market. They don't want a pound of habaneros. They want like 3. And you're not going to be able to get that much money for them. And if they want a pound, they want it once. They don't want it every week. But they're just special to me because I like eating them raw. It kind of wakes me up in the morning. Call me crazy. Yeah, we'll be out in the field. I will taste them right there on the spot. It just gets me going.
Okay.
My friends that farm with, they all love hot peppers, so it's kind of a cultural thing at the different farms that I've worked with.
Okay.
To just always have an abundance of hot peppers. And you don't have to eat them if you don't want. They'll just be there.
You can always provide some recipes.
Yeah, they'll just be there.
What do we have up now?
That was a couple different varieties of kale. There's a mantis from Fort Collins. Yeah.
Good, a good bug to have in the garden?
A great bug. Mantis are beneficial insects.
You don't want to just say no bugs in the garden. There's quite a lot that you want in your garden.
Yeah, so this brings me back to our growing methods. Right. Thank you. Yeah. Biodiversity is hugely important, not only with our no spray program, but just to have healthy soil.
Yeah.
And so you accept that you're going to have bad pests. That's kind of one of the tenets of biodiversity. Yes, bad pests exist. However, so do the beneficial ones, of course. Mantis is a great beneficial insect. They eat a lot of aphids, for example.
Okay.
So when you have a no spray program, you leave your pollinators in place. You're bee friendly. You leave your pests in place, but you also try to encourage beneficial insect colonization. Ladybugs are, a classic example. They're the carnivorous arm of the beetle family. Right. So you plant specific things that attract those insects. A lot of flowers, our marigold mix. We have a pollinator-friendly bee mix, like a custom. I forget all the different flowers that are in it. You'll see our cut flower bunches later in the year.
Yeah.
But trying to attract all of those insects that feed on the other ones. Wasps, parasitic wasps that lay eggs inside cutworms. It's amazing stuff. They're like zombie wasps. But you want to encourage all those things for a diverse patch of land that is not monocropped, where it's all just one crop and sprayed to keep down pest populations. Through interplanting, through our no spray program, through biodiversity, we can not only have our food healthier, but keep our land healthier over time.
Right, because all these pollinators, for example, that we'll be attracting here, they're going to be. We are not keeping them there. You can't tell them to stay. They're going wherever they want to go.
They go where they want to go.
So we're going to be benefiting the whole valley, the whole region.
You just make an invitation for them. They can go wherever they like.
Make the space appealing to those insects.
And something on our short list to do is find a beekeeper to house bees at the property and maybe do a honey partnership. I'd love to see that, because then our pollinators will be right on the property, not wandering in from over the hill.
Yeah, and we get to get some honey from them. That's a good thing.
Yeah. Oh, we can pause on that photo right there. So those are carrots.
Yeah.
Spring carrots. Those are grown in Fort Collins. That's my buddy Josh. That's his hand holding them. And we have dragon carrots. Those are the purple ones, and those have a kind of a bite to them, kind of spicy almost. It's spicy. It's still sweet. They're a really neat varieties. We'll be growing dragon carrots again this year. And then there's some, it looks like Nantes variety. Those are spring carrots, they're not quite full grown, but really sweet and tender at that young stage. Those are probably pulled in, I don't know, mid-July.
Okay, so is a spring carrot a carrot that you pull early, or is it completely different variety?
This is carrot that you pull early, exactly. Some spring onions are the same way. There are onions that are meant to stay small, but sometimes you'll see bunches of onions in market that were just the thinnings to have the smaller ones.
Like a whole other thing.
Exactly, yeah. The thinnings are often the spring crop. So that's kale on your screen there, and that's two different varieties. It's not the best picture, but on the top right, that's our lacinato kale, also known as dinosaur kale. Really delicious variety, sweet, textured. People like to cook it down with whatever dish, meat, eggs, poultry, all kinds of stuff. On the bottom left is our dwarf blue curl variety, and we'll be growing both of those this year as well. They've been super successful for me in the past in this type of climate. And the blue curl on the bottom is crunchier. It almost turns blue when the weather's cold, and it retains this crunchy, very frilled kind of leaf texture, and it just looks great at market. It tastes great. Those are two excellent complementary varieties. They just look really good next to each other.
Yeah. And I think kale is one of the things that people sometimes get stumped on. So
yeah,
you can juice it. You can do all sorts of things.
I was talking with our staff member Dawn the other day, and she was stumped by kale. She says all these people have been asking her, hey, there's Habanero. All these people have been asking her what to do with the kale. Yeah. And basically, kale is broccoli grown for its leaf. It's in the brassica family. Okay. It's in the cabbage family. It's in the cauliflower family. They're all in the same cruciferous family called brassica, and kale is just a broccoli leaf. So don't be scared of kale. Cook it like you would broccoli. It'll taste great.
Okay. Let's see what else is on here again. You have some squashes.
Yeah, those are patty sown. They're known as patty pan squash in the upper left. That's a French heirloom variety. They're scalloped, really tasty, really tender. You can kind of cut those into 1/4-inch thick slices or so, and just lightly saute with some butter and spices.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a really good one. Beets on our lower left. That's our kale on the right, and then slicing cucumbers in the upper right. Yeah, and those were all headed to market up in Fort Collins. Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. I think we had some photos of you too from
Oh yeah.
some of your past farming experience,
enterprises.
and maybe we can go through some of those, and you can tell us what you're
Yeah,
doing. And
sure. I guess we can also start with how I got out here. That's a little sidetrack.
That's true.
How
How did you get to Colorado from Baltimore? We should have said that in the beginning.
Thanks for asking. So I traveled out here in a Jeep Cherokee with a friend in 2000. We left in the winter of 2011, 2012. And I picked up Raisin in Virginia on the way. Got her in the parking lot of a Hardee's in Southwest Virginia. Coburn, Virginia was the town.
Was she stray?
No, her mommy had wandered into a barn in the Appalachian Mountains, just farm property, and they were taking the pups to a shelter, and I intercepted them in a parking lot with my friend, and we decided to keep her.
Okay.
Yeah, and then from Virginia we kept going south. It was winter, it was cold, didn't really want to go north.
Yeah, drive south.
Yeah, we eventually wanted to get west, but not quite yet. It's further south. So we went down to just the deep Appalachian, crazy mountain ranges down there. Really pretty. Tennessee, Georgia, Alabama, stayed in New Orleans for a little while, and then west through Texas, and then north to Colorado through New Mexico. Yeah, and then I ended up in Fort Collins. I've landed an apprenticeship with Lindenmeyer Farm on the northeast side of Fort Collins.
Okay.
And that was in 2012, and learned a lot there, and stuck around Fort Collins, and eventually transitioned to being vegetable farm manager at Hope Farms on the northwest side of town in Fort Collins. And those 2 years just grew tremendously through different practices and showing up at market each week, working out the kinks in the different methods that I had seen and wanted to improvise upon.
So apprenticeship, is that common in farming?
It's fairly common. It's a glorified intern.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. You work closer with the farm manager or property owner, whoever it is that's above you, and similar to an apprenticeship in the skilled crafts, whether it be welding or plumbing or electric, you learn the ins and outs of that trade.
Okay.
In this case, farming, and yeah, it's highly valuable. Often not paid that well. But the idea is that you can parlay the experience and knowledge that you gain into your own gig later in life.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'd recommend it, but not for too long. You got to transition out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can only live on your backup funds for so long before you need to, kind of get your own thing going.
But worth the experience.
Definitely worth the experience. Like many internships and apprenticeships today, it's all about getting that experience and doing something with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Let's see. And so you worked with 2 farms in Fort Collins.
2 farms in Fort Collins, and then at the end of 2013, early 2014, I moved down to Denver. That's my buddy Josh there, who I worked with up in Fort Collins, and puppy Coda, who has moved on. That is Raisin's sister, not biological, but her sister she grew up with. Yeah,
okay.
Coda's a wonderful dog. But I transitioned down to Denver to work for Denver Urban Gardens. They're a nonprofit that's doing wonderful things down in the city, enabling community plots, communities that come to them and ask them to help implement a space similar to what my thesis work touched on, a community space to really grow the neighborhood down there. And I think they have something like 170 urban plots.
Wow.
My main function with them, though, was for a different program called Delaney Community Farm. And that was a wonderful model, largely CSA-based. We had, I guess, around 80 CSA members with a variety of add-on shares. That's another topic. Add-on shares, you can pick and choose to add to your CSA. So with Delaney, we had eggs, honey, goat milk. Raw goat milk was wonderful. Beef, chicken, and lamb.
Wow.
And lots of options. And I opted in for the raw goat milk, the eggs, and oh yeah, and fruit from Gila as well.
Oh, okay.
Fruit from Gila Farms. That was wonderful. Now, something with the goat milk, in order to keep it raw, because of the legal circumstances, you have to buy in to be an owner of the herd.
Okay.
And in that way, you can get around having to send the milk for processing and any kind of heating treatment. If you want your milk raw,
Right.
what's going on right now is you buy in as a part owner of the herd. And so I was a fraction, say 1/64th owner in a particular goat on paper.
Okay.
And every week I would get the milk from that goat because I was technically an owner,
Oh,
not a consumer.
I see.
If you're buying at the store, it has to be processed. It has to be, pasteurized, heated up, spun out, homogenized, all that. So that's how you can get raw goat milk right now by buying into a herd.
Okay.
We'll be doing an add-on share with Sarah.
Yes.
Sarah's Pick of the Coop.
Yeah, we'll have some eggs from
And
that.
that's very exciting.
It'll be a good little closed loop. Feed the chickens the less than ideal vegetable and get some eggs back in return.
So we'll be partnering with Sarah as a CSA option for an add-on share, and then also at markets. You'll see both of us interchangeably. We'll be working together very closely.
And I'm sure as we grow, we can start to try to pair up with other farmers.
Yeah, if we can get bees on board, then next step there would be to do a CSA add-on for honey. And that'd be very exciting. And maybe some alpaca goods, we'll see.
Yeah, alpaca goods, that's right. Lots of alpaca on the ranch.
What was the number? 168?
168.
168 alpaca on the property. Yeah, through Mountain Sky Ranch. It's a beautiful thing.
There'll probably be more coming soon in the spring.
Yep.
Great. Let's
4 weeks.
Ooh,
4 weeks.
4 weeks to
babies.
babies.
4 weeks to baby alpacas. It's gonna be so cute. Look out the pictures.
Yeah, exactly. Follow, watch the Facebooks, and you'll see some pictures.
Yeah.
Let's see. I think we have a photo of you up here. And what in the world are you doing?
Yeah, that's a great picture. So this was a picture for Denver Urban Gardens at Delaney Community Farm, and I am working with a wheel hoe. That is a specific type of device where you push it, much like I am there. It has a wheel in front and there's a hoe in the back. And you do it before weeds grow up to be really gnarly and huge and tangled. You want to get them young. You want to do this every 2 weeks basically and always get your weeds when they're young. And in this way you kind of just skim off the top of the soil right outside of your planted crop rows. And it's a really fast, efficient way of cutting up your weeds before they get large. The trick is you just have to do it regularly. If you try to do this on amaranth, or pigweed, when that stuff is a month old or 2 feet tall, it's not going to work. So this is an efficiency tool that you can really use well if done early and regularly.
Great. So are you going to be mechanized on Raisin Roots Farm, or are you going to use man labor here?
We'll be lightly mechanized. We'll be lightly, man and woman, mostly. We'll be lightly mechanized. I want to get a light till on our area before we plant, just because it has not been tilled in recent living memory. So I think it's going to be important to get that soil lightly disturbed to break up any hard pan that has developed over the years for our roots to be able to penetrate. Some of our vegetables' roots are going to want to be down there 18 to 26 inches. So it'd be great if we can enable them to do that in this first year instead of fighting a hard pan for 5 years. Yeah, so a light till there, and then all of our pest control methods, harvest methods, and weeding are going to be by hand using tools. I think that we'll probably use a lot of wheels, such as a wheel hoe. If we can get a bicycle rigged up with a hoe on it, maybe we can bike down our rows and weed. Same goes for harvest and bringing things up to the processing station. I want to get bikes involved. Everybody loves bikes, right? Let's get some bikes involved.
All right. I'll have to see what we can figure out.
Yeah, maybe a truck here or there if we're hauling in hundreds of pounds of pumpkins.
Okay.
But for the most part, hand methods.
Great.
Yeah.
Let's see the photo here. It looks like kind of the typical scene when you get to see us at the market at some point.
That looks like a farmer's market. That was in Fort Collins with Hope Farms, and that's me on the right. One of our interns, Monica, and then Josh and Lucy all the way on the left. And that was a major part of our team up there, the four of us. And you can see this would have been, it looks like mid-August or so, based on the crops there. A lot of cucumber varieties, lemon cukes. Those are those kind of roundish, more yellowish, really special variety cucumber. They have a lemony tang when you bite into them. You can eat them in the field like you would an apple. And then the kind of serpentine cucumbers, it'll be lower right on that crate just inside on the lower right. That's a striped Armenian cucumber that no matter how large they get, they remain sweet. They don't get bitter at all, like most of your slicing cucumber varieties do.
Okay.
And they would grow in these crazy boomerang shapes. And we'd have these kids who would beg their parents to buy one and see them walking around the market for an hour with this boomerang cucumber around their neck. It's like showing it off and tossing it around. But they're this amazing variety. Chefs love those as well because they could get as big as possible and never turn bitter. Few seeds on the inside, almost seedless.
Wow.
They wouldn't get hollow and large. Really, really special Heirloom varieties. So we'll be doing those again this year.
Okay.
Yeah.
So a lot more to it than just your typical green cucumbers.
Yeah, those are a special one right there.
Or your little pickling gherkins there.
Right, whether you're pickling, your slicers, standard varieties.
I'm trying to see on the side here. I see some chats happening. I'm not sure if any of them are
do we have any
questions.
questions?
What's the deal with all the different colors?
Okay, so when you show up to a display table at market, if everything's just green, there's got to be something to break it up, in my opinion, from a display-wise point. You know, if you look there, we've got a lot of green. However, in the back left, this is a particularly green display for that matter, but we have some orange, some white, some purple going on. It looks like our eggplant are purple in the back left there. And I love to have different colored crops, even the same exact crop, like those carrots, for example. Have your purple mixed in with your orange, have a bunch all purple and next to a bunch all orange, and be able to offer some variety visually. I think marketing-wise, it just looks good. Yeah, and there's your carrots, exactly. Yeah. I think it just looks good personally. Some of them additionally have different tastes, have different flavors. They can be one color on the outside, another color on the inside. It seems that chefs really love having a variety of options to go with. If doing a display appetizer, for example, like a hummus plate, you know, we can do our yellow sliced cucumbers, the lemon ones that I talked about, next to our standard green slicers, next to our Armenians, which are lighter in color and have a different design inside. So visually, there's a specific market looking for beautiful produce, and color's a big part of that.
Awesome. And so a lot of those colored varieties you don't see in the store, is that's coming back to some of our heirloom seeds and our heirloom
Definitely
varieties. Some
heirloom varieties there. The thing about heirlooms is that they're not engineered to withstand pests or withstand crazy droughts as well, or withstand floods. So heirlooms can be a little more delicate to grow. And if you look at what's in a grocery store, you might not be seeing heirloom varieties just simply because of transportation and where they were grown. They might not stand up to 3 or 4 days on a truck.
Okay.
They might start degrading and lose their firmness of flesh, lose their start degrading basically in your hand. So you don't see a lot of heirloom varieties in stores for that reason, and that's what makes us special, that we're able to have those things for the people of the Front Range. And part of our business model is not to export. I don't want to be exporting outside of the state boundaries or across the mountains for that matter, because there are farms there that can grow those things. And I'm aware that this is a niche market. Not everybody can afford the uptick in price that's going to occur at the market stand, where it's $3 for a bunch of kale, when you can go get a bunch of spinach or a bunch of conventionally grown kale for $1 or less at any given supermarket.
Although, you know, what's really very, very valuable that's happening at a lot of farmers markets now is that they're accepting SNAP. And you can bring in your SNAP card. And
additionally, there's a grant through the Wholesome Wave, I believe, that's going to double a lot of those SNAP benefits. I know that at least last year that was in place. I think the grant was extended for 2015. But you can come in with $10 on your SNAP card, swipe it at the market, main market vending stand, and get $20 in market bucks to go spend.
Awesome.
Yeah, so that's special that we can actually include people who don't have as much money to spend on, you know, niche heirloom varieties and make it cheaper, make it actually cheaper than supermarket food. Yeah.
And another thing that happens usually is at the end of your market day, all the produce that's been out on your table isn't necessarily going to hold out through to the next week's market. So, you know, doesn't.
What do we do with this?
What do you do with it?
So first of all, we give it away to friends and family who show up. Give it away to whoever's staffing the market stand. But the bulk of it goes to food banks, and that's special because we can again serve the population that may not be able to get out to the farmers markets. And we can try to be aware of including everybody, not just those people who have Saturday morning off to show up. and in that way distribute to people who actually need the food.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember the number of pounds that we donated in 2013 in Fort Collins. I think it was something like 5,000 or 6,000 pounds throughout the course of the season that we donated for free to the Larimer County Food Bank, and I was happy that we did that.
And it really re-emphasizes the community side of community support of agriculture. Goes both ways. As much as you need to community support you.
We were working with a group up there that was doing pickup by bicycle on trailer. It was with Wes. I'm trying to remember their name. I should have their name written down. Food Finders. I think it was Food Finders. And they would come up, they'd call me on Sunday and say, how much produce do you have left over? Can we come pick up on Monday morning? And we always had something for them. And Wes would show up with a bicycle and a built-in trailer on it and a couple bins, and I would load him up, and then he would bike that to the food bank as well.
Very neat, very neat. So you need that kind of bike at the farm.
Yeah, we were going to have a trailer bike. We're going to have a trailer bike.
Okay.
We need one with mountain tires. And all
with mountain tires, yeah. We'll need some mountain tires for the roads out there.
Yes, we will.
Well, what are some of your influences, and where have you learned? I know you had your apprenticeships and you learned a lot from those, but what else influenced you?
Yeah, there's no real one huge spark for me as far as influence. I've read a lot of great books. Elliot Coleman is a wonderful author. He's actually practicing the farming techniques. Unlike a lot of authors out there, he's got a thriving market farm. And basically the hyper cultivation of small spaces is, I think, the future, without a tractor, if possible, in urban spaces. So my influences are trying to not monocrop and be diverse, and have as many things, not to the point of excess where you can't keep track of things, very, very ordered and structured, but keeping a diverse piece of land is really what I'm going after. And I haven't read like a ton of books that I can just spout off at you. I've more seen farms and visited farms. Cure in Boulder, I visited them last year. They're doing a wonderful job with about 15 acres, and they're upsizing to 20 acres. So basically, different farms I've worked at and seen have been my motivation. And being able to ask those farmers one-on-one questions about what do you do about this pest? What's your timing for that crop? What are your outlets? How are you able to stay this diverse without going through a major supplier or distributor? It's individuals that I've met along the way that are my inspiration.
Great. It kind of just, it's almost like taking a step back in time, because it used to always be information that was passed down among the family or at least among people in your same town, and now you're just going back to that instead of trying to pick it all up from
in
university yearbooks.
It's true. In Oregon, I took a great course there at University of Oregon on urban farming, but then I also interned at Terra Vita Springs in Ashland. I think they've since moved to the Applegate Valley, but I was able to hang out with them for a couple weeks and build their beehives and pick their brains over what their plans were for the future, what they wanted to do, how they were keeping their methods from year to year, what they were changing. So just experience like that have been so formative. Yeah.
Very interesting. Let's see. I think also maybe we could get a little clarification on, I feel like there's a lot of terms that get thrown out there and referring to how you grow. So there's organic, there's permaculture, there's biodynamic, there's intensive this and that, and then there's, clarify some of that, because I feel like the consumer gets confused.
I think you're dead on, and that's why I stray away from using those terms in our marketing, just because there are a lot of different definitions that are probably acceptable for a lot of those.
Yeah.
The hard definition for being certified organic is, of course, by the USDA. It's about a 3-year process that costs about $10,000, and the reason for going organic is so that you can have that label on it, and your consumers don't have to worry about that. And this is usually because you don't have a direct line of sight to your consumers. You're outletting, you're distributing. Look at Earthbound Farms in California. I've passed by that on Highway 1. They have 100 acres of spinach. And it's all certified organic. But their biodiversity is not going to be as high as other diverse farms of a smaller scale. So that label is to ensure the consumer has a peace of mind to go into a store and not be able to ask the farmer, because the farmer's not there. The farmer's in a different state. And know something baseline about what the crop, how the crop was grown and treated. However, there are a number of pesticides that are legal to be used for organic certification. It's not pesticide free. One term that I do use is pesticide free, and I think that's a pretty straightforward one. Pesticides that are certified for organic use are lower in mammalian toxicity to mammals, but usually just as high in toxicity to reptiles, birds, waterways, if not higher. So the benchmark there for being an organic certified pesticide is that you're not hurting humans as much, per se.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so you won't use any pesticides? We
won't use any pesticides. And I think that that's an important distinction about organic certification. A lot of people assume that it's not sprayed with anything, but it is. Okay. Especially on a large scale, you have to keep down pest colonization.
What about some of the other ones you mentioned, permaculture?
Permaculture is a beautiful discipline. Permaculture is not really about farming. Permaculture is more diverse than that. It includes a lot of plants that aren't food plants. So permaculture has its uses in beautifying a space, making a space, regenerating land, making a space, full of shade and edible things and things that can keep the soil healthy, purifying water. Permaculture is about more than just growing food.
Okay.
So permaculture farms, we're not a permaculture farm. There will be permaculture locations on the property, such as the one I believe up near Wayne and Deb's house has some permaculture plants. That ties into the term xeriscaping, which is going to be about working with your environment. Xeriscaping is about using plants that have less water needs, so you don't have to water them. That's a permaculture tenet, that if you can avoid watering and bringing in foreign inputs, then you can keep the space on a closed cycle system.
So the idea behind permaculture is to be able to almost set it and forget it.
Basically set it and forget it.
Be able to plant your things and let them continue on their own.
I think that farms can have permaculture disciplines and theories behind them, but on the scale of land that you need to produce food, it's going to be very difficult to institute a permaculture base across 4 acres just from the outset.
Now, the one other one I hear every now and then is biodynamic.
Biodynamic has a lot of different influences. One of the main ones is the lunar cycle and planting seeds at certain times of the lunar calendar. Biodynamic works on principles of gravity, and basically that when the moon ebbs and flows, it's going to be better for raising things out of the soil and pulling them back down. A lot of farmers use biodynamics for planting cycles when they start their greenhouse crops, when they're going to transplant out to the fields. I've talked to some farmers and seen some farmers that use biodynamics with success. I would definitely line up some of our plantings with biodynamic principles, but I would not say that we're a biodynamic farm across the board.
So you're mixing up everything.
Yeah.
Taking the best of each theology.
We are. When I said that earlier, that I've seen a bunch of different methods and have kind of picked and chosen what I liked from each, that is exactly what we're doing this year.
Very good. Let's see, what are we on time here? Looks like we have about 10 minutes left.
Okay. Do we have any questions there coming in?
I'm going to need some recipes. Will you have any for the CSA members? That's something we could definitely put together.
Great question. I think that we will focus on having a recipe at least every other week as the season goes on and we have a more diverse crop, especially into the fall. Yes, there will be specialty recipes going out with those shares. Yeah, especially for our more odd crops like a crazy-looking winter squash, how to bake that up. Kale, since everybody's asking about kale, we're definitely going to throw out some kale recipes. Celeriac root, and how we want to use that to flavor soup. Chefs usually use celeriac to flavor some kind of soup. It has amazing health properties that I won't get into, but basically you can lose. It's a strange crop. It almost looks like a cartoon character. You can find pictures of it on the internet. It's called celeriac root. It is celery grown for its root ball, in the same way that beets are actually Swiss chard grown for their root. Swiss chard or beets grown for their tops. So this is celery for its root. It's called celeriac. That's kind of one of those odd vegetables that people can fall in love with if they figure out how to cook it.
Right. And another thing we hope to do is try to have some workshops.
We're going to have a bunch of workshops. Yeah, I want to have a canning one early on with our friend from Fort Collins, Abby, who's certified with the state in canning. If we can get bees out there, I'd love to have a beekeeping workshop. Basic pruning and harvest methods, seed starting workshops, all kinds of stuff.
Definitely need help starting seeds.
Not only is it informative for those who attend, but it's a tremendous help to us when we have a workshop with 10 or 15 folks out who can knock out a big wave of seeding or pruning or weeding. It's amazing.
Again, back to community support.
It is. It's all about the community.
We need
We've got to get people involved. We need them, and they need us, hopefully.
Dye plants.
Yes.
Oh, the dye plants.
So dye plants,
That's right.
yeah. We've been talking a lot about dye plants recently. I think it's a great idea. Additionally, a lot of plants on that list of dye plants are also medicinal. I saw Coreopsis on there. I have to go look at it again. But basically, with our alpaca program at Mountain Sky, with the dye plants, we could do in-house weaves and dyes and basically make things that we can take to market each week and have beautiful, accompaniments to the vegetables.
So natural fiber with natural dyes.
Yeah, and I am not a fiber guy. I'd love to learn something, but I
Have you seen Deb's loom? She has
haven't.
a whole loom.
So there's a loom on site.
Beautiful.
Deb's loom. So we could add some tremendous alpaca products with dye plants.
Yeah.
Along with the quality of just having those plants on the property and being able to make our own dyes or even sell dyes as they are, jarred dyes. That'd be amazing. Yeah.
So we're starting out here, and we're going to be growing a lot over the next couple of months. So you should find us on Facebook, Raisin Roots Farm, or Raisin Roots.
Facebook.com/Raisin Roots. If you search Raisin Roots Farm, it should come up.
Yes.
Yeah.
So find us, like us, follow us.
If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Happy to take questions.
How do people join the CSA?
In order to join the CSA, we have a flyer that we just made, actually. If you are listening in right now and you want a CSA share, shoot us an email at that address shown, raisinroots@gmail.com. And we're offering two different share sizes. One's the medium, one's the large.
Go on, tell us the names.
Okay, the names
clever.
are the Prairie Pup. That's Prairie Pup medium share.
Okay.
And the Long in the Tooth Hounds large share.
All right.
Referencing our namesake Raisin, of course. And the medium shares can be suitable for 1 to 2 people who cook occasionally. And the large share will be suitable for a family who cooks regularly. And the price difference is it's $350 for the medium share. This is 20 to 22 weeks of harvest going from May to October, depending on the frost date. So for 20 weeks at $350, you get a share every week, and the large share is $550, and same range, 20 to 22 weeks. And like we talked about earlier, it's really a way to throw support in with the farm and have a wonderful season with us and get a variety of fresh crops every week. It's a really beautiful partnership.
Yeah. And we'll have a online sign-up sheet at some point soon for the CSA as well, and you'll be able to find that again on our Facebook. So. Definitely find us there and keep track of us, because that's where you're going to be able to see the most information.
Yeah, please do.
All right.
I think we're going to wrap it up. Thanks for tuning in.
Yeah, thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah, I'm on my dad.
And I hope that we will get to meet many of you in person, and we'll join the CSA and
see you in the market. Yeah, be wonderful.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, guys.
And then we're growing lots of. What is that? That was.
That's a new crop. It's going to be a sound barrier crop. We're going to use it to keep away bears.
I just kicked something that made a lot of noise. I'm sorry.
Is there a question from Mark down there?
Mark, I see one. I
Can you
can't.
scroll down?
No. It's not scrolling down for me.
He was just saying hi.
Oh,
okay.
he just said
Hi,
hi.
Mark.
Never mind. Hi, Mark. I thought.